Welcome back to Truth Quest. My name is Aaron Moriarity. I will be your host, and we're going to go on a quest for truth together. Yes, indeed, friends. I hope you're having a very nice day, evening, and I decided to just go live today because there's so much in the air recently about this disclosure coming up and what it is going to mean and how far are they going to go. Well, we already know they're not going to go far enough. Am I right? I think I'm right. So, yes, I'm dropping the Zoom link into the chat here on YouTube. And I gotta go put the YouTube. All right, hold on a second, folks. Bear with me. Okay. All right, I think there's enough there. That's there. Now I gotta share this to Facebook. Okay. And feel free to call in on Zoom there, friends. And with your take on this limited disclosure that they're trying to foist upon us, they don't have a very good track record for telling the truth. So I just don't think they're going to be forthcoming. You know what I mean? I just don't think so. Just due to past things like that have happened or haven't happened, right? So, yeah, like discovering water on Mars every year for the last 20 years. Yeah, we're kind of, we got the message. There's water on Mars, okay? We need more than that, okay? We need, oh yeah, now they're saying, well, these things aren't doing anything humanly possible. Must be extraterrestrial. Well, you know, some of it is extraterrestrial, some of it is our own. But to anyone who doesn't know any of the special access programs, they're going to think that these would be alien because they don't think we have this stuff yet, but we do. We have a lot of this stuff, you know. We've got a lot of this stuff, and there's a lot of people bringing it forward. And one of my weekly guests, the weekly show that I moderate for Andrew DiPasciago, he's one, of course, giving out lots and lots of disclosure, has been for years, and very grateful for all he has delivered information-wise about what we truly did accomplish. Let me see here. Let's check out the chat back over there on YouTube. Hello. Oh, look, we got Mud Rabbit. Hello. And Kent Shedman. Found a lake in the early photos. Okay. So welcome to the chat. Thank you for stopping by. Really appreciate it. And share this out if you like, so we can help break those algorithms, whatever they call them, those darn things. I tell you, it's something else, friends. It's just something else. And now, you know, Leslie Kane wrote a fabulous book. I lent it out years ago and haven't gotten it back. I hope people are reading it. UFOs, generals, pilots, and government officials go on the record. And she did that 2007, 2008, something like that. And I actually interviewed her back then on my other show on Blog Talk Radio. And nice gal, great book. Hi, Doug. How you doing? From Idaho. Ah, you guys, that's where we get all of our potatoes, right? Well, I'm Irish, so, you know, potatoes. Idaho. Now, are you in the part of Idaho that's seceding from the other part of, or is that Oregon trying to go into Idaho? I don't know. If you can say anything in the chat, let me know which, if you are aware of that. I think part of Oregon wants to turn into Idaho. I can't remember, something like that. Hello from Wisconsin. Hi, Sally. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm in Wisconsin. I'm from Wisconsin, but definitely in Wisconsin now, over here in beautiful Door County. And it's just starting to get warm out. Yeah, for a couple days, it was a short summer. We're going to get right back into the tundra here, I think. At least that's what's been happening. Yes, and so Leslie Kean is putting out posts about how John Podesta is you know, demanding that Biden release this information. Well, for one thing, you know, the minute John Podesta opens his mouth, people walk away and run, turn away and run. So that really doesn't do anything for anybody. Oregon wants to come here. Okay. Oregon wants to come there. Well, who wouldn't, right? Right. So yeah. All righty then. Let me go check the Zoom call here and open up the chat. I'll put the YouTube link in the chat here. And that means I got to go back here and copy and paste into the Zoom, so that if people come into the Zoom chat, that they can join the YouTube crowd over there. And thank you all for coming, and thank you again for liking and sharing, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. And you know, I'm doing everything I can. I'm doing grassroots marketing. Check this out. This is my little card that I bring around. You know, like when I go out to eat or go out and see friends, or when I meet people, I give them this so they can join the viewers and have some fun and learn. And coincidentally, that alien there, that is Skinny Bob. And that's one guest I really want to get on here is Bernie Mendez. He knew Skinny Bob, and Skinny Bob was, according to Bernie, you know, the nicest guy, the nicest alien. And he's the only alien that can come and go as he pleases because he's such a nice guy. So that's pretty darn cool. Now, I want to also talk about, you know, how difficult it's been for people to get haircuts during this whole pandemic, right? So I want to show you something that I got that has helped me greatly throughout this whole scamdemic. And here it is in all its glory, folks. Look at this baby here. Oops, it was upside down. The Flowbee. Oh yeah, oh yeah. You see, it hooks up to your vacuum cleaner, and it's got blades in there, okay? All right? And they go back and forth. And they got these little clear things that you put in here. And so when you hook it up to your vacuum cleaner and you plug it in, it's sucking the hair in. And you can vary the length of this because there are several of these various different sized adapters that you can stick on here. Okay, check this out. All right. Isn't that lovely? This, my friends, was designed in the 70s. And this baby was infomercial to death in the 70s, right? And boy, gosh, I remember seeing this on TV and it was like a marvel. And I really truly thought this is going to be the end of hairdressing because everyone's going to get one of these, right? Everyone is going to get one of these, but they didn't. But one guy did in Green Bay, got this in the 70s, and I got it off of Craigslist, and so very happy. It's got a power pack that also you have to plug in, and it looks like this. See, it's kind of a heavy power pack. It's built nice and rugged. I mean, this thing, I mean, it's lasted since the 70s, right? It's got a swivel on it. It's pretty handy. You got to use a mirror, to get the back. You can hold it at angles. It sucks the hair. It sucks as it cuts. Yes, just like Wayne's World. And that was a spoof of this, okay? So this is the original Flowbee. Yes, friends. And you can get one too. I think they're actually making them again. There it is. Flowbee. So look it up. Get it. It used to be blaring on the TV screens across America back in the 70s when it came out. Late 70s, mid 70s, mid to late 70s, something like that. Do you remember the Flowbee? Anybody in the chat? Do you remember the Flowbee? Let's see. Let's see here. Your hair looks great, Aaron. Have you used that on your hair? Yes, that's the only thing. That's the only way I've gotten my hair cut is by using that. Do you remember the spray that covers the bald spots? Yeah, well, when I do my Elvis shows, I have a black spray-on spray, and it not only covers the gray, but yes, it does cover the thin spots too. Yeah, very clever. Yes, I love that. And that way, the Popeil's Pocket Fisherman, yes, yes. And Mud Rabbit says, remember that along with Popeil Pocket Fisherman. Yes, I had one of those too, and it broke right away. I lived by Lake Minnetonka in Minnesota. Beautiful, beautiful place to grow up. You remember the Flowbee? All right, Sally. Everyone remembers the Flowbee. Well, that's darn cool. Bella Mafia, hello there. Let's see. Well, thank you all for coming. Remember now, share this out. We want to get the word out. We want to see when this disclosure happens, friends, we all have to ask the critical question. What else do you know that you're not telling us? Because if we all ask the same question, what else is there? You've kept this secret for 70 years. Now you give us a little teeny morsel. Oh, we think it might be alien because we can't do it. Well, that's not enough. I'm sorry. Does anybody in the audience think that that's enough disclosure? I just don't think so. Or even just admitting, oh yeah, there's aliens. No. We need to have them parade out with all kinds of the physical evidence that we know that they have, the photographs, the witnesses, and the technologies made public. Now, the Navy has started to release patents for hyperdrive and things like this, okay? And tremendous amounts of energy generation. And I believe that happened because our SAP programs were compromised, and some of our adversaries have that technology. That's why China just landed on Mars. They got in the back door. I don't know. Someone had a homebrew server. I can't remember what that person's name was. Maybe someone can help me. We're all old. Yes. Well, you know, what I like to do to help me feel a little less old is I take the 2 digits of my age and I add them together. That's my new age, okay? You can try that too. How's that working out for you? Yeah, so really, I wonder what year the Floby came out. I wonder because my friend Radex has this theory about 1972 and 2020, how they're connected. He thinks there's a time hack. And there's a lot of coincidences with those 2 dates, those 2 years, and the things that happened, the things that started. And he's got a whole list of them, but some of the interesting ones are 1972 was the first year that Anthony Fauci was hired at the NIH, National Institutes of Health. That was the first year. And of course, 2020, he became prominent when he was highlighted by POTUS. Now, also in 1972, not only was Dr. Fauci started in 1972, but also Joseph Robinette Biden was sworn in as the youngest senator in 1972. And of course, now he's the oldest resident of the White House. Very strange, huh? Who else was born in 1972? Amy Coney Barrett. 2020, she was nominated to what? Bingo. How do you like that? Fauci was probably a teenager in the 70s. Yeah, I think he looks the same, though. Guy like that never changes. Okay. Yeah, feel free to dial in if you want to call in and talk about what you think is going to be released next month in this big data drop, right? The only thing that we have to remember is it's not Biden doing it. This was put into motion back when Trump was president. He included it as part of the big gigantic budget bill or something that they signed in, and that was just added in. He said, let's give them something, and that way overdue because my goodness, we had, Harry Truman talked about flying saucers and how, we're talking a lot about flying saucers. Yeah, it's something we talk about. Yeah. So why the hush hush? Well, we know why. They don't want us knowing what they all know and what they're benefiting from. So yes, folks, we want full disclosure because we want to vacation on the moon, okay? We're not going to stop until we can vacation on the dang moon, all right? Are you with me on that one? That should be possible. I mean, for a society to have landed on the moon in 1969, By 2021, we should be able to go to, the Holiday Inn on the moon, the Moon Day Inn or something, the Lunar Inn, the who knows, the Moon Plaza Hotel. And that should be a thing. Why isn't that a thing yet? Well, it is a thing, but it's only for the upper crusties. And the upper crusties are crusting away and they're flaking away. And we're seeing what is really inside. It's not too pretty. So, well, we want it all. We want to be able to vacation on the moon. Hey, we went to the moon last year. Next year, let's go to Ceres, because there's a base there too. We've got bases all around our solar system, according to some whistleblowers, all throughout our 12-star cluster, our 52-star cluster, and beyond. And not only on planets, planetoids, protoplanets, and moons, asteroids, even mining on asteroids, but also in Lagrange points. Now, a Lagrange point is an area in the solar system that's a kind of a zero effect gravity area, where it's got equal pull from all sides, and it's an area in space where they can put a space station and it will stay in that spot with very little adjustment needed, because it's a Lagrange, kind of a gravitational sweet spot where you can just hang out for a while, So we've got these things. What are we doing on, a lot of them are slave labored. Okay. I think that you could get people that would want to go to work on a Mars factory. You could show them pictures. Okay, it looks like this. It's not that fun, but if you want to, everyone, they'd be, oh, take me, right? Wouldn't they? I think you could replace those slaves, take the slaves out, rehabilitate them, and, pay them some kind of restitution for stealing their lives away, and let the willing people. There's enough Star Trek fans who, they take a job like that. Why not? Hey, we got a mineral refinery on Mars. You want to come and work? It's kind of rough, but you'd be like a Mars cowboy working on hey, a lot of people would sign up for that. Okay, so we replace the slaves with people willing to work, and we'll get that going. I mean, who wants to be able to vacation in space, whether it be a space station or on the moon or on Mars? One, if you really want to, in the chat, give me a 1 if you want to go, would like to go and vacation in space, or at least have that as an option. Go to the moon, go to, maybe there's a timeshare out on the asteroid belt, a couple of them. Maybe there's a Lagrange point, just beyond the moon, that you could just hang out and vacation in near zero gravity, like floating around, like, oh, I'm floating. I'm actually in a spaceship right now, can't you tell? But they'd have to pay them. Yes, they would have to pay them, Mud Rabbit. Of course they would. But I think they'd work for very little, just to have the opportunity to go off planet, because nice to see you live. Hi, Tara. Oh, Tara. Oh. Look that song up. It's by The Knack. It's a really good song. You'll love it. All right. And Bob Johnson. Hello, Bob. Operation Shutdown. Uh-oh. Operation Shutdown. Bella Mafia. Cool names. TRVL dude. Travel Dude? Travel Dude. I think it's Travel Dude. Okay. Gotcha. That's cool that, everyone gets to make up their name. It's kind of cool, right? There's some pretty good ones. Colleen says, see what the rings of Saturn are. Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. Find out what the heck those things are. They claim it's just, a broken up satellite that's turned to dust and kind of spread out along the whole, elliptical gravitational pull of it, right? Yeah, what happened to the comments replay for truth? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened with that. There's been a couple of shows where that's happened, and the chat just goes away. And I don't know. I did have to edit that one, if that's the same one we're talking about. But I didn't do anything that I know of purposely. But I'm learning something new every day, though. So you never know. Maybe I'll have to actually get to the point someday where I'll, I know a little more. And every day I do. So it is a good song. Yes, it's a fantastic song. And, I remember when the Knack came out, and I was so excited. I went to see him at the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis. And I had to go down there to buy the tickets because you had to buy them in person. So I had to wait in line early in the morning. Some people were like, cooking on the sidewalk. Like, what, you're making a fire on the side? That was kind of weird, but and they only allowed you to buy 2 tickets per person. So there was no way you could scalp. And so I got the tickets, and then I couldn't find anyone to go with me. I had to go alone. And but man, was that a cool concert, man. Oh my gosh. They were confiscating people's cameras. They were really keeping a tight lid on their image and everything. They take the camera and then take the film out, and they'd return the camera to the people. But man, when they started, the lights went to black, and then when the lights came on, it was like the music started the instant the light came on, and the music just started, and it was like right on. I've never seen such a tight band. I mean, they were really hitting it. They were really hitting it. And they did, of course, they did Heartbeat, which was a Buddy Holly song. Great song. They did a great speeded up version of it. And in the concert at the Guthrie, they said, okay, here's a new song from our new album, Rave On, another Buddy Holly song. And they ripped it. Man, they just really did a super awesome job. I was so anxious to get their new album and to get that and hear it again. And then their new album came out, and it wasn't on there because it turns out that the owner of the license of that song wouldn't allow the Knack to was either was it Paul McCartney or was it Michael Jackson? Someone owned the Buddy Holly. Maybe it was the Beatle. Could be the Beatle. Yes. And but so they had another song called Having a Rave Up, but it really wasn't the same. It was I think of the song they wrote to kind of replace that, but you really can't replace that song. It's Rave On is a great song by Buddy Holly, the one and only Buddy Holly. And also, a lot of people don't know this, but when Buddy Holly died with the Big Bopper and Richie Valens, only 17 years old, Richie Valens. There was another rocker that was on that same tour with those fellas, and that was Eddie Cochran. Summertime Blues. Okay, well, he was called away to New York to do some recording before the crash happened. Otherwise, he would have been in that crash. And he always felt guilty about that. A year and a half later, he died in a car crash in England. So maybe you can't escape fate, huh? Okay, I'm looking at the chat here, trying to see what's going on. Let's see. I'm gonna put the, I don't know if the Zoom link really works or not. I'll drop it again. If anyone wants to call in, feel free. So there it is. So there we go. American Pie. Yeah, there you go. Music, the day the music died. Yes. John McClane. Great song. Great song. Yes. I was a paper boy with every newspaper I delivered. Yeah. I was a paper boy, and that was a great job. You know, kids these days are getting gypped out of a chance to, you know, learn about business, you know. Oh, and looks like we have, hello?
Hey.
Hey. Yep, we're live. That's okay. It's shy, very shy. So, Buddy Holly sings my name. Oh, Peggy Sue, huh? Major facepalm. Glad to finally catch you live. Became an instant fan a few years ago when I saw you on Red Pill 78. Keep up the great work, brother. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, Red Pill rocks, man. I mean, gosh, you know, if these mainstream media people were smart, they would hire him and give him his own spot and give him freedom of speech. That'd be great. That'd be fantastic. He could red pill the whole world. It'd be fantastic, and it would be good. It would be a good thing. Spaceship door just opened. Yeah, yeah, gosh. Now, there's something about, you know, Andrew Pashago's testimony about the chronovisor is you could, you know, with the 8-sided bismuth crystal chandelier mechanism, you could lens a past event into the lab. So you could lens a Buddy Holly concert as it really was into the lab. You could be in the audience and watch Buddy Holly. I mean, wouldn't that be cool? I mean, maybe you have to put a limit on it, but I mean, or just record it in like a movie. Even still, I mean, you get all those little vignettes that were never, you know, filmed because filming things wasn't that. So Mud Rabbit, I bet your name is Peggy Sue, but I don't want to dox you. So maybe I'm wrong. I think he had some other girl names too that he sang about. Yeah, and did you know, here's something interesting. So the Knack did Heartbeat, and they were going to do Rave On, 2 Buddy Holly songs. I think another one too. Buddy Holly did Peggy Sue, song Peggy Sue, which was about, he had a different name, but one of the fellas in the band, in the Crickets, his girlfriend, whose name was Peggy Sue, and that just seemed to work better. Well, that girl, Peggy Sue, later in life in California became a real estate agent. And so did Sharona from My Sharona. And they were actually in the same, like, deal. They were working together. So isn't that bizarre that Peggy Sue and Sharona, wow, what are the odds of that? Peggy Sue got married, yeah. Oh, fantastic movie. Oh, yeah, Peggy Sue Got Married was also a song too. Peggy Sue got married not long ago. He had that cool little hiccup. Very cool. And you know who did a great Buddy Holly tribute movie, or it's a documentary movie, really, a rockumentary movie, is Paul McCartney. He did, because he was so upset, and so was I, when they did that, the Buddy Holly story. It was just atrocious. It was just bad. You know, the guy who played Buddy Holly insisted on singing the part, even though he wasn't a singer. And, you know, they could have done so much better. It just wasn't that great. So Paul McCartney wanted to kind of straighten things out with Buddy Holly and get the record straight. And so he went and met the family and, you know, interviewed the families. And great. I highly recommend it. Go onto your favorite video platform and look it up. How's that sound? Hey, Jacob Waters, how you doing? How you doing, buddy? Parenting Through Ascension. I love that. I love that title. Crazy Synchronicity. Yeah, that is Crazy Synchronicity. And then we got Tara in the audience. Oh, Tara. Right? It's just craziness. So feel free to catch that Zoom link and call in if you like. It'd be fun to talk to somebody. As long as it's not one of those spammer scammer people, right? We don't want that. Don't want that. No, no, no. The Music of Time by Preston Nichols. I haven't heard anything about that. You know, I've only seen a couple things about Preston Nichols. Mud Rabbit says, hi, Jacob Waters. Yeah, Jacob did a great show with my friend Michael Pena. And so check that out on Jacob Waters' channel. All righty then. Let's check and see if anyone's in the queue yet. Nope, no one's calling in. That's okay. I want to talk to you about this book. It's called The Elegant Universe. Okay, it's a great book. And it goes over, it's illustrated. It's got nice little illustrations in it. And, you know, it shows, you know, physics. And he talks about Einstein's theories and also he talks about motion, movement, and time, and string theory. So it's a very fascinating book. I highly recommend it. In this theory, you might have heard about there's supposedly 11 different dimensions to make this theory work. So it's kind of very strange. It's high strangeness on a very cosmic, very microscopic and cosmic level at the same time. And there are, so here's an illustration here. It shows like matter, the closer, the more you study this matter, the more chaotic it gets. That's quantum mechanics. It's just craziness when it gets in the super small. And that's where crazy things happen. And that's where it's said that these calibre shapes are mixed up into our space-time, in the fabric of space-time. So it's like a curled up dimension, or a curled up dimension. I'm trying to find a graphic of it. Okay, here we're coming close to it now. Here it is. Okay, this is a mathematical image of it, if you can see it there. It's a, the lighting's kind of rough. But it's a twisted up kind of geometric strange shape. And when I was reading this, so here's a bunch of these calibre shapes, you know, just woven in the fabric of space-time. So they're there, but you just don't really know they're there, and there's everywhere. So this is what they've thought of. And one of the conundrums about science, about the particle science, is gravity. What is gravity? Because particle science says it's the gravitational, the graviton, and there's X amount of gravitons per other particles. Well, but they've never really discovered the graviton, okay? So having also known about Bob Lazar and what he talks about, two different kinds of gravity waves, as I was reading this book years ago, I think when it first came out, I don't know what year it came out, but here it is. Brian Greene is the author. So these calibre shapes, I surmised that possibly the gravity waves of the planet go up and they go into these calibre shapes and they twist around, they get amplified and they come up stronger. And I just had this visual of it. And I was about 3/4 of the way done with the book, and I called the author, and I got to talk to Brian Greene. And he was, you know, at one time he was working in the same area that Einstein was working. He's a very, very smart guy. So I told him what I was visualizing after reading most of his book. And he said, wow, that would work with quantum mechanics, and it would work with general relativity. He goes, I think that might be something. And then lo and behold, about 1.5 years or so later, he starts studying gravity waves. And guess what they discovered? Gravity waves, just like Bob Lazar said. So that, you know, sometimes when you read just a pure science book, you can get an idea that can maybe help something along. So that was very interesting. Oh, we got our friend Jake Waters coming in here. Let's bring him on in, shall we? All right, there he is. How you doing, buddy? Uh-oh, you're muted. You there? Can't hear you. I can't hear you, buddy. Uh-oh. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, call back in. I'm sorry. I think it was my fault. I think that was my fault. Hello, Celestial Soul. How are you today? Terry Hopper, hello. Sopranos Fan 11. Welcome, y'all. Thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate it. So call back in, Jake Waters. It was my fault. I had it. I had my computer muted. I think it was my fault. I'm very, very sorry. So please call back and we'll get you in here. Yeah, oops. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so a great book. I mean, the illustrations are great. He explains, things that are very complex, but he goes through, and with these beautiful illustrations, things become very, very clear. And you can understand Einstein. He really makes it easy to understand, really easy to understand. Yeah, it's very, like I said, it's got lots of illustrations, and all of the explanations are very simple. It's, even though he's a very smart guy, he wrote this so an average day person can read it and really get something out of it. So I highly recommend it. It's a great book. Great book. And oh, thanks, Sopranos fan 11. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hello, Julie. How you doing out there? You guys are having fun out there. I gotta come over and say hey. Hey. All right. So there we go. Is he back? He's back. Well, let's see if we can let him in this time. Make sure all my stuff is on. So complex. There he is.
1, 2.
Yep. It was all my fault. I'm very sorry.
Oh no, it's okay.
How
you doing tonight, Aaron?
If I was doing any better, I'd be you.
Oh, I don't know about that. Like always.
Yeah. Well, you're the guy with the Cheech and Chong shirt on, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Can't complain about it.
Tie-dye. You gotta love the tie-dye.
So, have you heard some of the new news about the UFO information release?
Well, it's supposed to come out next month, right? Or did they let it out early?
Well, there's a couple people who I know are getting ready to throw their hats into it, and I don't necessarily, my opinion, of course, I don't necessarily believe most of the things that they say.
Yeah.
One of a Friedman character who's on Ancient Aliens all the time,
Okay.
is going to be. I have a feeling he's going to be throwing his hat into the ring here pretty soon and talking about some of the disclosure.
Yeah.
And there was a couple other conservatives that came out and were talking about some of the disclosure releases, including Ben Shapiro was actually talking about it today.
Well, everybody should be talking about it. I mean, it should be. I mean, this should have happened in the 50s. Well, it did happen in the 50s, but it should have kept happening. They shouldn't have tamped it down like they did. But
yeah.
Philip J. Corso, Colonel Corso, he was in the meeting where they decided to keep all this stuff hush hush and not tell the public everything until they knew more, because they didn't want to admit that there's these other beings that could take us over in a minute. We're completely powerless against them. Because if they did that, that might very well be the end of the government, right?
No, I mean, it just depends on how much they disclose to us. If it's like we were talking about before, if it's a soft disclosure, they release enough where they still hold the power because they have more knowledge. So, I mean, when knowledge is power and the government has all the knowledge, it's
mm-hmm.
Of course, but that's another story.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily just the government or even a legitimate part of the government. It's it's these special access programs. It's in some cases it's corporations too. Like Andy talks about Dr. Sterling Colgate of the Colgate Company. He invented a kind of time travel, plasma confinement. Now, that's an amazing discovery that should be heralded as an amazing event. Back in the 70s, here's this guy, the toothpaste dude, he created a time travel device. That's freaking fantastic. I'm sure he would have loved to have had public awareness of that in his lifetime, right?
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine being involved in something like that and you can't tell anybody?
Well, I always kind of wondered like the connection with some of the engineers and the people at like Skunk Works when they released some of the products from like NASA that NASA brought back with that technology. If it was if there was any more connection to the technology, or if they created it all themselves, or how that worked. There was several companies that were involved with NASA that got handed down, like fiber optics and things like that, that they picked up before it got into the mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah. And, after now I remember after the Apollo program, first the Gemini, then the Apollo program, there was a flood of new products on the market, high-tech products like digital watches, digital clocks, and lit up digital at first, and then LCD screens, because they had to develop LCD screens for the lunar module. So that technology found its way into everyday, like everyone had a Casio watch, right? That's directly from the technologies that they had to develop to get to the moon. So imagine the technologies that we had to develop to get to Mars. And if all that would have been made public, what kind of gadgets would we have? What kind of automobiles would we have? Or, everything.
Well, if like what Andy's saying is true, I believe this is what Andy was saying before, was that science fiction was created for disinformation and stuff like that. But if it was also created for soft disclosure, I mean, we've been talking about holograms forever, and now we finally have them. And it's like you can do it on your watch now. You can do it on a keyboard. You can do it on a bunch of different things where you're doing actually holograms, and you're not actually touching a physical object, but you're interacting with it. And wow. I wonder how long that's been around. Like they have the visual keyboards where you don't even have to be touching real buttons. That came out 7-8 years ago. And that was like the beginning of what I saw as like some kind of light technology that they've been talking about in science fiction for who knows how long. And it makes you wonder where our technology is really at. I mean, just the things that Andy says. I mean, it's light years of way ahead of what we know about.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm just struck by a lot of the things that Andy says. And one of the things, and I think I've talked about this before, but I think it bears mentioning again, that one of the times when Andy and several other children in the program, remember they're like 8, 9, and 10 years old or something like that in the 69 to 72. And they were teleporting somewhere. And in 1972, this group of kids, they were teleporting somewhere, and they got lost in time, and they went to 1992 instead of 72. And one of the girls was crying, and she was all flustered, and she was crying because, it's that many years in the future. And Andy's like, don't worry, some of your family will still be around. They'll just be older, and, you'll be fine. But Andy knew to get the information. He needed to talk to someone in charge of this specific program. So he got the word out. It took about a week to get someone there, and they said, okay, we're going to get you guys back, but it's going to be a lot longer. It might be a little painful to get back. It's going to take a lot longer. We're going to have to put you in these suits to give you oxygen to breathe, and because it's going to be too long to hold your breath, like you normally hold your breath for a few seconds while you teleport. This is going to take like a half hour. And they said, we've learned a lot about time travel and teleportation since the 1970s, but we've also forgotten a lot that we knew in the 1970s. So it's going to be a rough ride for you. And he said that, halfway through the trip, this angel came into the quantum plenum, he calls it, into the middle of the tunnel, and she led them all through the rest of the way, and she was all lit up like this light being angel. And then when he landed on the tarmac, he didn't land softly like normal. He landed on his back on the tar, and it cracked his shield open. So that's what I see as another big problem about keeping this stuff all totally top secret, is we could lose it. All those great achievements could be lost because they're kept too secret. Few key people die, and then no one was ever told about it. It just kind of disappears. So another reason to bring it all forward, don't you think?
Oh yeah. What I try to think of it more as a positive way. It seemed like on most of the missions they prepped Andy for like a backup story, who to go to in this scenario and stuff like that. And I'm hoping now they have it more dialed in, and at least they're still doing it, but maybe they'll have it where they don't have to give somebody a backstory. They know exactly what time you're going to be sent to. But it seemed like back then they had almost a window that you could fall into, and it could be 10 years off or whatever it may be.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty complex thing they were trying to do, and I'm sure there's going to be some, learning curve. And
oh yeah, it definitely had to be hard.
And like he said, that one time they jumped from, I think, from New Jersey to Santa Fe, and they overshot where they usually landed. He said that the water was faster, or the liquid energy in the field was going faster than it normally was, and then they overshot their mark by a couple blocks, and they had to figure out where they were. And yeah.
Which transportation was that?
That was the Tesla Vortal teleporter.
Okay. I didn't know if it was one of the ones where they had the set locations where they were going to. And
Yeah,
I didn't know if it was possible to shoot those ones.
That is. Oh, no, because there was no machine at the other end. No.
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering, if there was a...
Excuse me. No, the machine's only at one end. And so what happens is when you're in the tunnel, it just closes off, and it's sometimes wormholes. If there's two people, it wormholes off into two different directions, and then you just find footfall. You're going about 10 to 15 feet above the ground, like you're almost in a tunnel, and then you're let down gently on the ground. But yeah, they overshot it because maybe because the water was going, not the water, but the energy that looks like water was going faster. Mud Rabbit, I think the med beds are going to be enough to blow people's minds. Yeah, I'm really hoping that is all true. I'm sure they have amazing healing technologies. It would be nice if it was true, don't you think? Maybe it is. But now they're starting to, they found a drug that can actually reverse aging a little bit. So they're on their way to that thing that the secret space program people talk about, where they chemically age regress them. Chemically. So this is chemically. So that's very, very interesting.
I've always been a big fan of Stargate, and I think it's really interesting how much Andy's story correlates with their storyline. You were just talking about the angel type being that helped him through the tunnel, and that just reminded me of an ascended being in Stargate. And then you were talking about the med beds, which they have their own version of that. It's called the sarcophagus, and basically put them in there and it heals them, but they lose their humanity while it heals them. So like the more you use it to keep yourself alive, the more you lose your humanity and you like lose patience, you lose some of the key humanic values that one would reach for. And I just thought it was interesting, some of the, and him talking about Project Pegasus, and then they have the galaxy that takes place for Stargate Atlantis is in Project. It's the Pegasus project that they're running out there. It's interesting.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Probably on purpose, right?
Yeah. You never know. I don't know if it's, I always wonder with them naming things like the same, whether it's military missions or something like that, if it's just to kind of kill a search for it. Like, okay, you're going to pull up these results rather than the ones you're actually looking for, or a vast variety of results. We'd rather just give you this one.
A prime example of that happened pretty recently was that movie that came out. Oh gosh, now I just forgot what it was. That's what happens when you get old. It's there 1 minute, and then the next minute it's not. Well, let's look over here. An infomercial. Okay. Yeah, I've seen, pictures of supposed med beds, but, I don't think anyone's really gotten a picture of the real ones yet. I don't know what those ones that they are showing really are. I'm not sure. Do you follow the latest med bed info, Jacob?
Oh no, I don't know much about med beds. I just know that it seems like a lot of super soldiers claim to know about them. I don't really know a lot about the super soldiers. Most of the ones that have come out seem to be, I don't know, they have holes in their story, or they die from black goo, or they
Max Spears,
yeah, a lot of interesting stories. And I never liked the black goo story just because it reminded me too much of Prometheus, and it was tied in too much to sci-fi. And I don't know if, I mean, just like what I was just explaining, it could be disinformation, it could be a lot of things. And I don't know if the sci-fi was to throw you off of the real story, but who knows? But the black goo has been reoccurring in sci-fi for a long time.
Well, I remember a terrifying show from a long, long time ago called, it was a meteorite that fell, The Blob. Oh my God, that was scary. This meteorite falls and they poke it with a stick, and there's a sticky stuff on the end of the stick. It's like falling down. And then he goes like this to let it go, and it goes onto his hand, and it absorbs him, and he gets bigger, and it keeps doing that. The Blob. Yeah, that's pretty scary. That was like way long time ago. But yeah, that's kind of like the black goo, kind of this deadly stuff that touches you. Yeah. Oh, Aaron, see the comment above that one. Info above. Which one? Med beds. I don't know which one you're talking about. There's a new device in Forward Clinic down in Miami. You stand in it, and it takes all your vitals. I think we're close. Okay, yeah. Could be. I remember reading many years ago already now that some doctor invented something like what they have on Star Trek, where they have that wand and they put it over your body and it reads what is wrong with you. He invented that because he saw it on Star Trek and he wanted to make it. So he made it. So yeah. So what's new with you? Have you done any new shows lately?
I think I'm going to be doing another one tomorrow. We're going to do another Zoom call and have it open for people to call in. I appreciate you shouting us out a couple times. That was nice of you. But yeah, me and Michael are going to probably do another show tomorrow night, probably around 4:00 Central Time.
Okay. But, so what's the subject matter is going to be? I know he's a Bible aficionado.
Well, we usually start with kind of a vague subject. Like our last show was based on spirituality, which he likes to talk about religion. So we talked about the ties between personal spirituality and religion a little bit, and we talked about different spectrums of spirituality, and
Yeah.
also different spectrums of religion. Different people like to claim to be a Christian. Some of them never go to church. Some of them are the Amish, and they live a lifestyle that is very intense. And then, there's a middle ground in between. And I always I like to address and see, what kind of Christian someone calls themselves, or how they follow Jesus in the way that they do. I just think it's interesting to talk to people and get their opinion on how they've developed their own spectrum of the world and how it takes place.
I agree. The nicest, the best church experience I ever had was in a church here in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, the Hope Church. And I think is it pastor or minister, pastor, is a non-denominational, so I don't know what they call the heads of those. But he did the service, I think it was an Easter service, but he intertwined every religion, including Native American traditions. And he wove it all together. And it was so like this group earth hug thing. It was just amazing. And showing that the things we have in common far outweigh our differences. So, we really are one tribe, really, one planet, one people.
That's one of my favorite things to acknowledge in religion is, look how many religions had this global flood, and look how many of them had these, things that are very similar, whether it was, one begotten son or something like that. It's interesting to see how many of them connect.
Yeah. Although, I take issue with the Noah's Ark story only because, I think last year they discovered like a couple hundred brand new species. So yeah. If we're still discovering new species, how did Noah get them, save them? So there's that. I mean, and plus, who was doing all the shoveling? It was a lot of shoveling, When
it comes to that, I really do like the I do like the ancient alien theory about the ship being a DNA storage, something like that. I do like that theory. It's interesting to just think of a ship as maybe a computer, and it was just storing the DNA of all these animals rather than actually having to store specific animals in pairs of two. I just think that, most of our past writings are interpretations of how we took them. So if they're interpretations of how we took them, that would be the best way to explain that kind of technology, I would assume.
It could be, but I think, I'm no biblical scholar, but I do believe that they have the dimensions of the ship, and people have actually built them. They're tremendously big looking, and wow, what kind of dedication that would take to make one of those things. And if it doesn't rain, you're going to look awfully silly, right?
Yeah. I always thought it was interesting. People still to this day looking for Noah's Ark. I'm like, that doesn't make it. I don't understand how you would find Noah's Ark in a mountain. I guess if you hadn't found Mount Ararat or whatever it happened to leave on, I could imagine that being a thing. But there was no dinosaurs on the Ark, so I was confused by what animals were allowed on and which ones weren't.
Right. Yeah, I saw a meme. It showed an ark like in the background and a very large lion, and the caption was lousy cruise, but a great buffet. So yeah, it's they found one of those ships on Mount Ararat in Turkey in the 70s. Yeah, could be. It's amazing what they've found that ancient people have done. Have you ever seen dolmens? These dolmens, they're like these big rock houses, and they look like Flintstone houses with a big rock slab on top. Like, how did they get that rock up there? I mean, it's like a huge, hundreds of thousands of pound rock on top of other rocks to create like a shelter. Just like Flintstones. You know what? Maybe I'll look it up and I'll show you that, because I've talked about those before. Have you seen those dolmens, Jacob?
I'm not sure about those, but what about like there's plenty of megaliths that are hard to explain, whether it's was it under the Greek temple that they had that huge platform that they knew predated the temple, and they knew cranes couldn't even move it today. Like there's a lot of technology that we can look at that we don't know how they were doing it back then, and it wasn't just Stone Age stuff. I mean, it was advanced technology that we can't really explain.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always liked the idea that we are a lost civilization, and we might not know about some of our past, and we might have had more advanced technology than we do today.
Yeah, I think so too. Here's one of the pictures. Now, I'm not finding the ones I've seen before, but I'm going to put stone in front of them. And do a search. So what else is new with Jacob, with Mr. Jacob Waters these days?
Oh, not a lot. I'm just trying to get a few new guests on and get my podcast up and running slowly but surely. But
very cool.
Just working and hanging out with the family.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to share this as soon as it'll let me. There it is. Okay. All righty then. So, gotta get back to here. Okie dokie. Share screen. Here we go. Isn't this exciting, folks? Yes. Share. Okay, here are some dolmens. Do you see those? Can you see those, Jake?
Oh yeah, I can see them.
Now those are kind of amazing. They're very, very old. How did they get those rocks up there? Unbelievable. And they're not small rocks. The top rock, pretty big. And there's other ones that look more like the houses. This is just the first ones that I saw. But they're everywhere. They're all over Europe. Yeah, in Wales. Let's see. Dolmens of the North. Yeah, dolmens. So Fred Flintstone houses. Kind of cool. They probably had thatch around them and stuff too, to make them more like a house. I don't know. I just think those are, no one ever talks about those, those are pretty cool. I know the megalithic structures are much more impressive, but this I think is more ancient, What do you think?
Yeah, no, it reminds me of Stonehenge, and they're not as clean cut as Stonehenge, but we know that Stonehenge is one of our older megaliths that we still can't explain as well. And you see, the technology is just there, and we can't figure out why. And I think when it comes to Stonehenge, it had something to do with sound reverberation.
Uh-huh.
And I liked some of the studies on that, but they just interested me.
Yeah. It is amazing. You got to really admire the people that work there at Stonehenge, because, every time they got daylight savings, man, they're out there moving those rocks. It's like really hard work, Don't they? No, they've rebuilt it twice. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
They rebuilt it twice. In fact, if you look up rebuilding Stonehenge. You can see pictures. They're lifting them up with ropes and trucks, and they're because it was all knocked down when they found it, and I think it got knocked down again. So they think they built it twice. So that's another thing they could do with the chronovisors. Go back to the original Stonehenge and see how close they got to what it really was, right?
Yeah. If I could use the chronovisor for two things, it would be probably Stonehenge and then the Great Pyramids when they were in a vegetatious land where it wasn't a desert. I think that would be interesting to see.
Yeah. Boy, some people listen to Andy's stories and they think, oh, how glamorous to be able to travel through time. Right? Glamorous, right? Well, I was talking to him the other day, and he was talking about how horrible it was. He was sent to like 1905 New York, and he said he was living in this tenement with these other people, and the stench was just horrific. There's this large room where they just put their excrement in the middle of the room, and it just really stunk. No plumbing, and so we think it may be glamorous to go back in time, but maybe it wouldn't be so much fun, right? I mean, he said it was horrifying. The kind of stuff they had to live through there, these poor people.
Yeah, no, I'd prefer the chronovisor. I'd rather just see the image, get the idea, not live the experience exactly.
Right. I'm with you on that one.
That's a lot more thinking on your feet that Andy had to do. I mean, he actually had to take in the experiences, react to them, and react properly. Otherwise, he'd probably not be here today.
Right. Okay, Major Facepalm says earlier civilizations must have known some kind of vibrational frequency levitation knowledge that is being hidden from us today by the powers that should not be. Yeah. Very, very possible. I mean, you look at the Hutchison effect, right? He makes bowling balls float and giant rocks float with sound waves, right? Sound waves.
Was that the guy with the cones that used to built that whole structure in the U.S.?
I think his name was Hutchison, the Hutchison effect. I can't remember his first name. My friend Google keeps all that information for me. I don't have to remember it. Isn't that handy? Yeah, it is kind of nice. Do you know what's time related, but people don't do it anymore, but they used to do it a lot before the internet? And that is to call time. Do you remember ever calling time? Whenever I bought a new watch or a clock.
I've had time call me, wake up calls and whatnot.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, back in the olden days, before the intranet, if you got a watch or a clock or something, you wanted to set it, you'd call time to find out what the time is, from the atomic clock, or they had access to the atomic clock. And so you dial 555-1212. And this woman would come on and say the time is now 11:48 p.m. Central Time. And it was handy. But, I have to think now, I don't think too many people are calling. She's probably getting lonely, waiting for someone to call.
My father used to always make jokes about like if somebody's clock was off, he goes, "Oh, well, mine's set to Big Ben." He goes, "I don't know about everybody else's, but mine's set on Big Ben, not the atomic clock or anything else." I just thought that was funny.
That is funny. Let's see. Coral Castle, yes. Homestead, Florida. One man built massive blocks of coral by himself. Yeah, in fact, when, he was a small guy, right? This guy, that built Coral Castle, very small guy. And he used to get beat up. People, like teenagers, would come to his property and they beat the crap out of him. So after he built this amazing wonderland for his Sweet 16 that never showed up, he moved it to a different location. He moved, to get away from the riffraff. And he hired a truck, and he told the truck, he said, okay, okay, driver, I want you to go behind that barn or behind that building while I move these rocks onto the truck. He goes, okay. So he went out of sight, and he loaded the truck up. His small guy somehow loaded the truck up. And, I wonder what he was using, but, sound waves are very powerful. And you know how when you have a tuning fork and you hit the tuning fork and it makes a sound, right? And it just vibrates, right? But they're equal lengths. Well, what if there's not equal lengths? Maybe it's an in-between harmonic that does it. I don't know. Who knows? But
I think it's really interesting what frequencies can do. And everybody talks about some frequencies can put you in a bad mood, some can lift your spirits. And they've even talked about if your body got to the right frequency, you could walk through solid objects. And I was like, whoa, this is interesting when you think about how you could move objects with frequencies and stuff like that. I always thought it was interesting seeing the salt patterns and stuff like that. If you put salt or sand on a speaker and getting the different patterns from different hertz or vibrations through it.
Yep. And they say that medicine of the future is going to be sound and light vibrations and frequencies. Sound and light frequencies. Skinny little dude, yeah. He used 3 long logs and a chain. There's a book on it. Okay, Dark Brain. All right. Yeah, and there's some guy out on his farm field. He figured out how to use put a little stone under these big blocks, and you could just move it by yourself. These big megalithic blocks, just by using, I guess, pivot points on the rock. Cymatics. All right. Vibration. Yes. So yeah, the June, I think in the middle of June is supposed to be the drop time for this disclosure, right? It is limited disclosure. We're assuming it's limited. I wonder what they're going to say.
It'd be nice to see like a WikiLeaks release before that. Like if they got some more information or right after, either one I would be fine with. If they told us what we were missing out from the actual public disclosure, any kind of anonymous or hackers or anything like that want to tap into it, I'd be more than willing to have them join in.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely. Tibetan singing bowls. I wonder if a vacuum might have been employed, like a glass set on a wet table. Yeah, that's interesting too. That used to freak me out when I was a kid. The glass just floating on the table like that. Okay, well, it looks like everyone's keeping it really comfy in the chat. Thank you so much, people. That's awesome. So, do you think they're going to admit that there's alien life forms, or do you think they're going to keep it to there might be alien life platforms? What do you think they're going to say?
I think they can go with as simple as it's an unmanned craft or it's a manned craft. I don't necessarily think they'll jump to a manned craft.
Really?
Yeah, with our robotics that we have now, I could see them simply playing it off to be an unmanned craft.
Yeah. But they're building this up to be some kind of disclosure. So, I mean, they're going to release something. I mean, they've already released the blueprints and the patents for the TR3B, a triangle craft. You know, maybe they'll bring that out. Something. They're going to bring something out. But here's the problem with just giving us a little bit is that the lid's been closed for so long. If they just try to crack open that Pandora's box, it's just going to flip right open and out comes all of the secrets because people have had it. I mean, there's people who have worked on these technologies that want, they want to get credit for working on these incredible, life-changing, world-changing technologies that they're keeping completely secret. So, I mean, there's people that really want this stuff out. So you'd have to imagine that if it doesn't at some point, they're going to be all so pissed, they're just going to release it themselves. That's probably what's going to happen. It's not going to be enough, whatever they do. But we don't know, because this is the first time Trump ever did something like this. And, he likes to do things a little more grandiose than other people. So I'm sure he probably pushed to release as much as you guys can. The people need to know. I mean, we really, really need to know. And for those people who think that the moon landing didn't happen, let me see if I can find this. The moon. Because I know there's pictures with shadows and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, some fake pictures were taken because they didn't know if the cameras were going to work. I mean, I accept that as a legitimate excuse for it. But I don't know.
The video footage of the flag blowing in the wind, I thought was always interesting with no atmosphere.
Well, yeah, there's no wind, but there's something. And a lot of it was just the jiggling of it. And it was starched. So it moves really funny because it's kind of starched. But now it's completely white because it's been.
Well, when they show the footage, the astronaut's like actually passing by it, but he doesn't touch it. So it makes you curious about what kind of atmosphere the moon would have if that would happen.
Yeah. Well, that could be answered right away if they just let us up there to go vacation, right? We could go up there and try it out and see. Wouldn't that be nice? And that, what else they should do? Now that China has a rover up there, they should go, either China or NASA should go to all of the spots where anomalies were found and photograph them from another angle to see if it really is a rat or a spider or a woman walking or if there's just stones lined up in a certain way, or if from that perspective you just turn a little bit, it just looks like a bunch of rocks, but from the old angle it looks like something. They could debunk all of the conspiracies about that,
I also feel like it would be kind of like H.G. Wells, the remake of the movie. I believe it would be the U.S. trying to sell real estate on the moon the second they knew we could go back there. I mean, I don't know if it's because we're not allowed to occupy it because it's already occupied, but I could see the U.S. selling real estate there quite quickly just to get the money for it.
Yeah, you think so?
I mean, and then we'd end up destroying it just like we like to do to our own planet.
Well, we do have 850 pounds of human excrement on the surface of the moon in bags that we should clean up. I do think that we should do that.
That was
Def-
one of the few things I liked that Neil deGrasse Tyson says is he's like, well, yeah, why would we want to go to Mars? We can't even take care of our own planet. Let's not go destroy another one.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Okay, I got something else to show you here. That is for all the people who think that we didn't go to the moon. Another thing that you need to do, if you're curious, if you're really curious about the moon, you can read a book that has the amazing story of this gentleman, William Tompkins. His hand, he had a hand in a big hand in getting us to the moon. He designed the building that the rockets were built in. He designed the way the rockets were built. He designed the computer checkout system that made sure that all 30,000 subcontractors' parts all worked together. And he designed the observation area where all the scientists are watching. So if you read in here all the stuff about the moon, they started in the early 60s to get this to happen by 1969. And it did happen. And they had help. They had help from extraterrestrials. This was it's called, selected by extraterrestrials. They wanted to help us get to the moon. And they did through telepathy. William Tompkins' secretaries at these places where he worked, they were Nordic secretaries, not human Nordic, alien Nordic. And they telepathically told him how to build these things and how to get this stuff going. And it was always right. Every message he got from them was 100% right, and it worked. So we got to the moon. And I'll show you some proof. And you can actually find this proof yourself if you have a telescope, because if you have a good enough telescope, you can actually see the landing sites of the lunar landers, at least these ones here, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So there you go. I mean, you can see the rover tracks and everything. So if we didn't go to the moon, what are those? Right?
Are those moving rocks that we see in the desert?
Well, you can see if you those are in the exact spots where we landed, and there they are, right? So yeah, I think those rocks go like in one direction. They don't like turn and leave tire tracks and things like that. So yeah, I know people are still gonna see. The problem is we've all been lied to so much that everything seems like it could be a lie, even the truth. So that's the problem. That's one of the problems we have to face.
I mean, they have to realize that with the disclosure too. I mean, they almost would want to give us the truth so you don't have so much misspeculation about what the truth could actually be. When you lie to the public for that long, just like you were saying, you end up with everybody questioning everything, and you get to a point where you can't come to any conclusion about anything, whether it's the moon landing or something else.
Right. Right. Everyone's going to walk around going, this is just a dream of some dragon. I don't care, you know? But, I like the old TV shows. And one of my favorite TV shows is the old Addams Family show. And that show taught everybody that, hey, you can live whatever kind of world you want to make up, and it can be your normal. And And it doesn't have to conform to everybody else, right? I mean, they clipped off the buds of the roses and just had the stems. I mean, you think about it, the stems don't limp. They don't go limp like the flower part does. So yeah, I like that show. It really shows that you can live whatever kind of life you want to live. And that's a beautiful thing. You know, one of the beauties of living on planet Earth right now. The lunar wave, fascinating stuff. No, I have not seen the lunar wave. Bob Johnson, he says, have you seen footage of the lunar wave? Fascinating stuff. No, I'll have to look that up. Is that where you wave at the moon and it waves back? Just kidding. I don't think it's that. Major Facepalm. I like that name, Major Facepalm. Some of these names that you just love them, right?
Did you ever see the movie about Venus? I watched it in school in science class, and they were always speculating about what was on the surface of Venus because it had such a thick atmosphere back in, I don't know if it was the 70s or the 80s it came out.
Right. Yeah, Venus is, of course, it's Earth's sister planet because they're almost exactly the same size. I'm going to show you something that they found on the surface of Venus that looks very anomalous. Check this out. This is really incredible. I mean, maybe you've seen it. And there's a number of things like this. I mean, it just doesn't look natural to me. Take a look at that. That looks like a built structure or what's left of a built structure. Can you see that?
Yeah, wow. That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting? Under all those clouds, you got that. And not just that, there's lots of stuff like that that look like man-made or being-made structures. It just doesn't look like a natural formation there, does it?
No, those are very straight edges and looks to be very intentional.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm going to get another picture here of Venus. Some color pictures too, because we do have some color pictures of Venus. It's very interesting. This one's, yeah, I would not want to be on the surface of Venus because the atmospheric pressure is just like the bottom of the ocean. And you know, if you're not in a containment suit, like a metal one, on the bottom of the ocean, you get crushed just from the atmosphere. And that's what happened to the two Soviet landers that landed on the surface of Venus in the 70s. Wasn't that the 70s that they went there?
I'm pretty sure Venus has the acid rain too. I don't know if I'd be looking forward to that.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. There's Venus. Look at that thing. So it's just nice that they can get to clear pictures of the ground there. Yeah, it's very hot there. Now, some people claim that we have cloud cities up in the upper atmosphere of Venus. Had you heard that?
No, I've heard of orbiting stuff around Saturn, but I haven't heard anything about Venus.
This would be like up in the clouds, like clouds, just like Lando Calrissian, you know, the
Oh,
cloud city thing. Here's something. Now, this is a kind of a, this is again from Venus, but this isn't a very clear picture. I don't know what process was used, but it looks like it's something could be there. Do you see that strange picture?
Yeah.
It looks like you got like a half circle there and some walls, perhaps. I don't know. It's just very interesting topography. And there's one last one here. I'm just really fascinated by Venus. I think it's an interesting planet. Very interesting planet. Okay, share this one. And look at this one. This one almost you can get heat stroke just by looking at this picture. Look at that thing. That's pretty cool. Valiant Thor. Yeah, Valiant Thor is pretty cool. Interesting, right? From Venus. Yeah. You've heard of Valiant Thor, haven't you?
Oh yeah. No, I always wonder if that iconic picture of him in the meeting was actually him.
Yeah, there's a couple of different pictures floating around that don't look like the same person. Because like a tall blonde person, and there's like a brunette guy. But I think there was more than just one guy. There was a girl and another guy too from that planet there. But anyway, yeah, that's fun. Venus is a fun place. Mercury is just a golf ball, not much there. But Venus, I think at one time probably, and according to the Guardians, according to some of the stories that some of these people are telling, Venus was the first place to have life in this solar system, like couple billion years ago or something, right?
I like the cosmic war theory that our asteroid belt used to be a planet.
Oh yeah, I believe that for sure. That program, Brilliant Pebbles, that put all the pebbles back together and reconstituted the planet digitally. So they could
a larger version of Earth.
Yeah, super Earth. Yeah, and they say that it was either Maldak or Tiamat, and then Mars was its moon. And when Maldak blew up or Tiamat blew up, it put a gash in the side of Mars and knocked it into its present orbit, where it ended up being in its present orbit after a while, I guess. It's weird that we have two moons. Did you know we have two moons? We have another moon. It's in an elliptical orbit. It's much smaller and more like a rock. But there are two moons. We have two moons. Why can't we see the other one, right? Maybe it's too far away. Wouldn't it be lit up sometimes, though? I don't know.
Or the side that's facing the sun isn't facing us.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, so
what lights up our moon, right, is the fact that we see it lit up from the sun.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's farther away, we wouldn't really notice it besides the impact on our oceans.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not sure if this other object is big enough to have as much of an effect as the moon does, our main moon.
But have you heard that the moon was man-made or placed there? Or do you think it's more scientific and it was something that crashed into the earth and is part of the earth? And
I don't believe that. I don't buy that story at all.
Do you believe that it's hollow?
I don't know. It could be. I mean, they say when they dropped something on the surface, it
had a
ringing sound. But maybe that's just what happens when you drop something on a moon in space. I don't know. We've never done that before, right?
Yeah.
Maybe all things sound like that, but it certainly seems feasible. And you got the Lunar Operations Command by Corey Good talking about that kind of thing. It all makes sense that we should have something like that in place. So that leads me to believe these people more than other people, because it just seems like it should be there. Black Knight satellite, the second moon, or no, it's not the Black Light satellite. Black Knight satellite. This is something further, like way out in a huge elliptical orbit. And it's so small and so far away that we can't see it. Otherwise, we would have seen it. But maybe it isn't there. Maybe this is a psyop too. You get see, there's the thing. There needs to be a way to check the truth. And fact checkers are not the answer. Paid for fact checkers, paid for by the company that's hiding the information. When else can you be your own, police your own self? I mean, wow, it's crazy. So are people not wearing masks where you are? How's that going?
I don't know if I should say this on the computer, but yeah, there's a lot of people that as long as you're vaccinated, or as long as you tell people you're vaccinated, you are allowed to travel freely. They don't like check your papers or anything like that. So
yeah,
I have a feeling there's people getting away with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's pretty bizarre. Yeah, I was at the grocery store the other day, and there was a school-aged young lady checking out, and she wasn't wearing a mask. I said, "Oh, you're not wearing a mask?" She goes, "Nope, I got vaccinated." I went, "Oh, I mean, because young kids aren't affected by this. There's no reason for that." And now they're really, anyway, we probably shouldn't talk about this, but it's something that needs to be talked about. Probably not on this platform, but seek out information, folks, and be informed. What we have in us is already has been good enough for millions of years. So it needs no enhancement, in my opinion.
I met a person that registers trailers and trucks for a company. He's like a certified auto dealer, and that's what they do. They bring in trucks from different companies and they certify their safety stickers. And he was telling me a story about his pregnant daughter who took the vaccine and didn't have the best experience. But
oh no, oh my God.
Yeah, she's no longer with us, and I didn't realize that that was even a thing.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know they were I didn't know they were vaccinating pregnant people at the time.
Oh my God. Oh well, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If we are meant to have all that stuff in us, we would have been born with it already in us. That's my take. It would already be in us if it was meant to be in us. Because I don't know, there's nothing in nature that could be like that. And you can't run through the woods and get a burr on your leg and have all these toxins injected into your system. It just doesn't happen in nature. And so, yeah, I don't know.
I think we can develop these immunities in nature, whether it's, to common diseases or stuff like that. But I don't think science is going to make the leap and inject something into us that's going to make us better right away without any side effects.
Right. Exactly. Well, yeah, and that's our opinion. It's not legal advice, not definitely not medical advice. So talk to your physician and do everything like that.
Do the best thing you can to keep yourself healthy and listen to the CDC regulations.
Yeah. That's right. Do follow your heart. What does your heart tell you? What does your gut tell you? Our immune system is already in us, and it's 99.997% effective. Yes, it works pretty good, Dark Brain. Fabulous. Thanks for being here, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's and it shouldn't be something that we're not allowed to talk about. Really, it shouldn't. It should not. A lot of people, I'm thinking about different things that people do on the intranet, right? They do shows, and sometimes they have a show where they'll play video games, right? Have you seen these kind of shows?
Yeah, the live streamers.
Yeah, I think even Quite Frankly does that too. He will play a video game. You ever seen that? So
Yeah, I used to do it for a video game called Counter-Strike, but it wasn't. You didn't have the live feed on yourself. You just had the live gameplay.
Okay. Live gameplay. Well, I got something I want to show you. It's see, I put this here. I'm not sure if this is going to fit. All right. Check this baby out. Look at this thing. See that? This is the Vectrex. Right? It's a video game console. Has its own tube. All right. Let's see if I can get this over here. Uh-oh. And let me see. Let me push this way. Is this gonna come? Can you see it yet?
Yeah.
All right. Get it off the table here. Let's see. Okay, let's turn it on. Oh, and it's got, under here is the console. This is the built-in game. It also has consoles. Check this out. This is from 1982. Listen to that sound. Check out these graphics. I mean, this blows away anything nowadays, isn't it? Okay. Oh, oops. Oh my gosh, you got me. I mean, it's pretty good, don't you think? Better than Nintendo, right? Oh, I'm not paying attention. I'm trying to get the angle better. And I'm seeing, oh, gonna start another game. Here we go. Okay, now I'm gonna pay attention, okay? Because I heard people, they like to play games. So this is pretty modern, isn't it? I mean, pretty modernistic, don't you think? Look how fun this is. Look at this. It's like you're actually in space. Look how realistic it is, and the sounds. What do you think, folks? Uh-oh. You got to get the little ones. Oh, he got me again. So that's Vectrex. This is Minefield. Now, it also has these color sheets that go on. You can do it black and white, or you can put the color sheet on. And this is actually from Pole Position. It's a racing game. But so here's one, Solar Quest. Okay, let's try this one, shall we? So this goes in over here. All right, Solar Quest. Let's check this thing out. Okay. Oh, no, it's still doing Mindstorm. Oh, well. Well, I think that's it. I don't think we're going to play this anymore. But pretty cool, huh? 1982. Works like a charm. And boy, those graphics and that sound pretty much blows anything away that they're making now, don't you think? Maybe not. Maybe not. But I like that. Yeah, those were only on the market 1 year. Oops, there we go. That wasn't very pleasant, was it? They were only in the market 1 year, and they were only in the JCPenney catalog. And unfortunately, they were like $100 in 1982. It had its own TV built in. and it had these cartridges. Like I have these, all these cartridges here. Check these out. Look at that. Rubber banded together. There's Tank Battle and Solar Rescue, Pole Position, Fortress of Narzad, Armor Attack. That's like a tank battle. Yeah, cool stuff. And so everyone who worked for Milton Bradley that year got one because they didn't sell, and they had a whole warehouse full of them. So they just gave one to every employee. And so I got mine from a fella I worked with who got it from a guy who worked at Milton Bradley. But hey, a 1982 console TV built-in video game system, way ahead of its time. And I love those realistic graphics. I mean, what do you think? Pretty groovy, huh?
It's pretty cool. I have one of the Intellivisions. I got it was like the knockoff version of I can't remember the other version. The
Atari.
Yeah, the knockoff version of Atari, and basically it was called Intellivision, and it was just a joystick with like one button.
Oh yeah. Oh, I think I remember that. And it was like Pong or something.
Yeah.
Like Pong or hockey. Hockey was just Pong with an extra paddle or something like that. It's like, whoa. Yeah, it's come a long way. I mean, my goodness, now, I mean, some of these ones, like you're in these ships and the water looks real, the land looks real, there's birds flying by, and you're shooting each other and explosions and everything looks real. It's like, wow.
Oh yeah, the people, the characters. I mean, it looks realistic. Even the cutscenes in some of the video games now, you can't tell them from a movie.
Right. I know, it's so sophisticated. I mean, wow. But nowadays, you like to get more armaments, you have to pay real money, and you can get the extra, and you're playing live against other people, so it's like a competition thing. And so yeah, wow. And Xbox and PlayStation, because you can communicate on those consoles too, right?
I don't know if you can communicate between the two, but I know they've just expanded where Xbox games can play with computer games as well. As long as they share the same game, then they can share the internet connection and actually meet each other online.
Right.
But
What,
I don't know.
what I meant was just, just one system. Someone playing on Xbox can play someone else over across the seas, and they could communicate with each other too, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's one of the things they found out, that the Obama administration was communicating that way using these consoles. And I think it was a Star Wars game or something. And they talk in code, and they thought that they could get away with, getting around the NSA collecting that data, but they got that too. So they were, planning nefarious things through these other means. And video games was one of them. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that almost like it was designed that way so they could do that, right?
I was just thinking of Obama ordering like 1,000 hot dogs through a Star Wars game for a pizzeria.
Oh God. Oh man. It's his third term now. He always wanted to be in the basement directing someone who didn't have a clue. And I don't think you could find anyone more clueless than Bo Jiden.
He's been having some bad spells lately too.
Good old Bo Jiden. Yeah. Boy.
Are you prepared for Kamala Harris to be your next president?
No. You mean resident? I don't know. Yeah, this whole thing is so. I thought when George Bush Jr. was elected, I thought, well, this opens it up. Now anyone can run. If a guy like that can win, anybody could, you don't have to be smart. But now Biden has taken that one step or couple mile steps further, Not only do you don't have to be smart, you can not not be able to talk or make any sense.
It makes you wonder where the push is coming from, because Andy talked about meeting George Bush, and then I'm old enough to remember the results in Florida and how it came down to the count. And I would say Al Gore definitely won that election, but It's interesting that they let George Bush carry on with it. Mm-hmm. So I wonder where the governmental push was, and if they just wanted to keep another Bush in office, and because now Al Gore is a shrill for global warming, and that's all he's talked about for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it's interesting.
I like it when you look at the old Time magazine covers, from the past 30 years or so. And you go back that far, it's like, oh, the coming ice age. How will we prepare for the coming ice age? And then it was global warming, and then it was ice age again. And oh, we got to tax more people. We need to do this because of this thing we can't control. We need to throw money at it. It's like so weird. I mean, one volcano going off, I think they found produces more carbon than like 1,000 years of automobiles or whatever, and cows. Plus, carbon is good. Carbon dioxide's good for plants, right? So I don't know. It's really weird.
There's a lot of scientists that study core samples, whether it's in the ice or whether it's in the earth, and people that go back farther than the people just studying our recent time while humans were on Earth, they would notice that our carbon levels have fluctuated even before humans were on Earth, and it didn't necessarily have a negative effect. It just was occurring, and it's not really based on a lot of things. But yeah, there's a God. I wish I had the guy's name offhand, but there's a few people that have done interviews with him, including Steven Crowder. But there's a few scientists that follow his theory of the core samples going back, and as long as you're dating them back to the last like 2 million years, you get a better spectrum of our carbon levels throughout time on this planet, not just the human impact on it. Because if they adjusted during the human time and there was also an impact that didn't correlate with us, it would still just show up in that 2,000 year time frame.
Mm-hmm. They say, carbon, watch your carbon footprint. Another, like burying people in, like the base of a tree, or they're composting humans now in Washington State, I think. That's just, but the first industrial revolution, as I learned, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, maybe someone in the chat can illuminate us if they know. Oh, I still enjoy watching Godzilla and rubber suit movies. Oh yeah, that's a lot of fun, isn't it? Yeah, Godzilla. I like Godzilla. Very cool.
My dad was always into the oversized insects.
Oh yeah, Mothra. Yeah.
The ants or anything.
Yeah, I love that stuff too. And the Jason and the Argonauts, stop motion. Yeah, the whole global warming thing, it's like, well, yeah, like I said, you can look at all the magazine covers and there's throughout time. It goes from cold spell to warm spell to, it's nothing. It's nothing. There's nothing. There's no, they always say follow the science, but their science is always so warped, 94 genders and yeah, that's science for you. I don't think so.
According to science, I believe Florida is supposed to be underwater and California is supposed to be detached by now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You know whose fault it's going to be if California falls in the water, don't you?
Trump.
St. Andrea's fault.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good dad joke.
Had to sneak that one in there. Do you know where the Iraqis keep their army?
No.
In their sleevey. That's true. I researched it. I got the truth for you, folks. There it is. Have you heard any good clean jokes lately?
Yeah. Do you know what the worst acid is, Aaron?
What the worst acid is? No. What is the worst acid?
Amino acid.
Amino acid. That's a good one. I like that one. Amino acid. That's, wow, I got to remember that. That's going to go in my repertoire. Yeah. Yeah. Well, $65,000 in succulent hot dogs. Nothing suspicious. Yeah. Dark brain. Yeah. It's, well, if you look at those emails too, you find Hillary talking about, I don't think we should do it at the White House, but you're the president. You do what you want. I think it should be the normal place. But yeah, they, at some point, all this stuff is going to come flowing out and there's going to be no hiding it. By that time, the media will be taken over, hopefully, and put patriots in there like Red Pill and Thomas and people like that. Give us the real news so we can get on with our lives. Release the technology so we can teleport, right, to different places and give Andy his sight back. And anybody else that needs any kind of medical attention should be, it's 2021. This is like the future. We should be there. I mean, this spaceship behind me should be a real spaceship and I should be floating around. Hey, I'm broadcasting from high above the earth here. Gonna head out to Andromeda, see what we can find. Yeah, that should be. Oh, you hear about the Happy Roman? He was a gladiator. Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, Major Facepalm has to say goodnight. Good night, Major Facepalm. You know what? Maybe we should say goodnight too. What do you think, Jake? Yeah.
About that time.
Well, folks, thank you so much for stopping by. Remember to share this out. Tell all your friends. Wake the neighbors when you see the show come on, and join in and have a blast. We'll talk about disclosure and we'll get this thing rolling. But for now, folks, until next time, thank you, Jacob Waters, for calling in, and everyone in the chat, everyone who came here. Thanks for coming along. Peace in.